The question at the end of the last episode and the question heading into this one was, what were we going to do with this Senators team, the 2020-2021 Ottawa Senators? We are here on deadline day 37-20-6, and the question is, do we blow up this team or do we just stick with it? Because how hilarious would it be if this roster won the Stanley Cup? And you might be saying, there's no way. But crazier things have happened. Now, of course, with the limitations that we have in this series, there are some concerns, right? Brady Tkachuk's going to be getting a big boy contract next year. Taylor Hall, bit of controversy as to whether or not I should have been able to even sign him. Again, it was a mistake on my part. He would technically be eligible heading into next year's season. I goofed on that. So there's been the talk of, am I allowed to trade him at all? But then aside from Taylor Hall, you have, well, should we flip Vladislav Namestnikov? He's had a pretty damn good season. I mean, he's had a really good season, 46 points in 63 games. Should we flip Ilya Mikheyev? Logan Brown will probably stay, but Connor Brown could be flipped as well. Artem Anisimov in that $5.6 million. And then defensively, you're looking at Mark Borowiecki, but the thing is, when you talk about moving some of these players, is some cap has to come back, right? Because we're so close to the cap floor. It's easier said than done to get rid of players at this particular time. And on the topic of Borowiecki, there was a comment that mentioned Melnyk wanted him to be a Sen for life, so maybe we try to keep Borowiecki for as long as I possibly can. Ultimately, I put some thought into it. There was much more time between episodes than I intended for there to be, but I put some time into it, and I've come up with this choice. We're going to stick with it. We're going for it. Now, when I say we're going for it, we're right up against the cap, right? We really can't make any additions to this team, but I'm going to elect to keep a lot of these guys here, and we're going to see what happens. The minimum cap right now is at $65.7 million. There really isn't anybody for $1.7 million that we can add to this team that's going to be an incredible game changer. Sure, they might be better than Ilya Lyubushkin, for example, but he has a plus 25 on the season, plus minus, not a great stat, but once you start getting towards that status where he is, it's like, oh, okay, he's actually having a really good season. And I think it has to be because of the emergence of Anders Nilsson. And if he can keep this up, who knows what's going to happen this year. So rather than going with our gut, going with the easy choice of just blow it up and always think future assets, we are going to see what this team can do this season. And, we might regret it, but miracles can happen as we lose to Philadelphia in our very first game following the deadline, although we do beat Washington in response. We have a 1-point lead on both the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Boston Bruins atop this division. We slip up against San Jose as well as we begin the campaign into March. And wouldn't it be the most Sens thing ever to just fall apart from here? Although back-to-back wins over Vancouver and Arizona certainly helps quite a bit. Taylor Hall continuing to do extremely well this year. We play the Florida Panthers and lose 3-2, unfortunately. New York Rangers are up next. Not a very good season for them. Winless in their last 10, and we beat them in a shootout. Now at 41-23-6. 1 point behind Boston and Tampa with 12 games to go. So a pretty big game against the Avs here. We win 7-5. Hell of a scoreline there. And it's Ottawa against Pittsburgh. Go figure. Big game for us against the Pens. That's never happened in franchise history, as we're not going to worry about the draft class right now. We beat the Penguins as well. For the moment, we reclaim the top spot in the division. The Lightning take it right back by a single point. This is a ridiculous schedule we have ahead of us here. We play the Rangers again. Just one win in their last 10. We lose 5-1. And that's a slip-up that could ultimately cost us a shot at the division title. We play Detroit. Pretty brutal team, all things considered. We lose in a shootout. Columbus is next, and we lose again. So I think any chance we had at the division title just went up in smoke, but we have clinched a playoff spot, which is just absolutely tremendous. Montreal, we do win in the shootout. We have a game at hand on Tampa. They're a point ahead. We are 1 point ahead of Boston. They have a game at hand. So the standings right now, very much an active, fluid situation, of course, as right now we're back into third and we'd be playing Boston in round 1 if the season were to end today. As we lose to New Jersey, I mean, more pity points are nice, but, we really need all the points we can get. Chicago's not a good team. We need the W here, and we get it 7-6. It's much closer than I would have preferred, but hey, we made it work. Toronto on the verge of potentially missing the playoffs, which is gigantic. Huge news for us here. If we can get a win, we'll be looking pretty good. Taylor Hall, what a season he's had. We win 7-3, sets the stage for a game against Carolina, and then back-to-back games against the Bruins to end the season. We are 2 points behind Tampa, but 3 points clear of Boston. So let's see what we can do against the Hurricanes. We really do need a win here. We lose. So Tampa, I think, just took the division title. Indeed, they did. And these next 2 games against Boston, it's a playoff preview, essentially, unless Buffalo really storms by the Bruins at the last moment. Let's see what happens. We know we're not winning the division title. Game 81 might as well be a playoff game already. It's almost an extended playoff series against the Bruins. Let's see what happens. First period of game 1, first period of game 81, and they just wiped the floor with us. Pasternak twice over, and Andre Kasha. We fight back, though. Charlie Coyle makes it 4-0. Colin White, Thomas Chabot, and Brady Tkachuk. 3 unanswered goals. We have just 15 shots, but we've made a game of it. If the Bruins win this, they will jump us by 1 point in the standings. Getting this to overtime before losing would be very, very wise of us, but we have 6 minutes left. It's not looking that good. David Pasternak completes the hat trick. That's going to do it. 5-3, your final score. The Bruins win the penultimate game of the season. So this is it for home ice. We need a regulation win, or we will be playing the Bruins on the road for the majority of the series. Of course, they'll have home ice for that first series. Let's see what happens. We need a much better performance than what we just witnessed. We'll see how it goes. First period, scoreless. Second period, not scoreless. Taylor Hall gets one past Yaroslav Halak. So we're up by 1. Charlie Coyle is able to tie it. Again, this game going to overtime hands the Bruins that advantage in round 1. We need a clean regulation win here, or we are in a rough spot. Power play, Marchand scores. The Boston Bruins are going to have home ice advantage in round 1. We choke away not only a chance at the division title, but a chance at home ice in round 1. We lose back-to-back games in regulation against the very team that we are going to be playing in round 1. But the rebuilder Senators have made the postseason, which is quite the statement and quite the moment, as we barely stay above Buffalo thanks to the overtime and shootout losses. But all in all, very impressive for us to do what we've done. Tampa takes the division. Of course, we're going to be playing Boston, as Buffalo will take on the Tampa Bay Lightning. And in the Metro, you have Carolina taking on Philadelphia. Pittsburgh plays Washington. It was a rough division. The Islanders, Devils, and Blue Jackets all sucked. And of course, Detroit, the lowest of the low in the Atlantic. Over in the Western Conference, Dallas takes the Central. They will be playing Anaheim in round 1. Colorado plays Winnipeg. St. Louis will be playing the division winner on the other side, as the Blackhawks were terrible. The Blues will be playing Edmonton, and Calgary plays Vancouver. Vegas pretty far behind. LA extremely far behind. So the Sens, a top 8 team in the NHL. Dallas, Carolina, Pittsburgh, Tampa, and Colorado, the top 5. Bottom 5, Chicago, Detroit, LA, Columbus, and New Jersey. As the goals for per game, LA, Detroit, Chicago, the Islanders, and Rangers, the bottom 5. We had a top 4 offense behind Dallas, Colorado, and St. Louis. And in terms of goals against average, obviously, you expect to see Chicago there. Vegas's goaltending and defense was horrible. We were mid-table, but Carolina, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Boston, and Tampa. I mean, that's the problem. Boston and Tampa are just so good defensively. It's going to be a tough challenge here. You got to look the weakest power plays in the league. The top power plays: Edmonton, Winnipeg, Boston. That doesn't bode well for us. The top penalty kills: Boston's up there again. We had one of the worst PKs in the league, so I really don't like our chances in the first round. Like I said, in terms of keeping this team together, the smart move, the obvious move, just exploit the AI. Sell as much as possible. Let's have fun with it. This team had a legitimate shot at the division title. Let's have fun with it and just go for it. To hell with the consequences. One hell of a season for Taylor Hall. Brady Tkachuk, as a result, gets a 90-point season, and Colin White really emerges as a potential, legitimate top 6 center as he put up 77 points. Lafreniere with 59 points in his rookie season. Connor Brown and Nemesnikov all with 59 points. Mikheyev with 56. Bobby Ryan with 54. From there, it drops off, but Artem Anisimov, 36 points on the fourth line. Logan Brown at 31. Nick Paul, 26. And Scott Sabourin, just 3 points in 8 games, but he kept the penalty minutes down, thankfully. Defensively, Thomas Chabot, pretty good season, 49 points. Borowiecki with 28, outscored Zaitsev, Brandstrom, Graves, and Lyubushkin. But the goaltenders, tough to say who the starter is going to be honest. It could be Allmark, it could be Nilsson, who was off to a really hot start, but kind of dropped off a little bit towards the back half of the season. No clear number 1 goaltender for us this year. I can't remember the last time I had 3 goalies all hovering around the same amount of games played for a team. A unique situation here in Ottawa this year, as around the league, Tyler Seguin just dominated. McKinnon, Radulov, Stamkos, McDavid all broke the 100-point mark, all Centurions, as Connor McDavid, 52 goals, 50 for Jamie Benn. You see the other names that were up there, including Taylor Hall. The assist leader, yeah, I guess it would be Centurions or Centenarians. Whatever, I'm too tired to care. You see the assist leaders as well. For the defensemen, Adam Fox led the way. Klingberg, Hamilton, Slavin, and Dahlin. Top 5 for scores. Quinn Hughes was up there, as was Cale Makar. Adam Fox, though, 27 goals. Burnsy also up there for goal scoring amongst defensemen. Ben Bishop, 44 wins. The shutout leader, Andrei Vasilevsky, with 8. Save percentage-wise, it is likely to be Leonard's Vezina this year. Mrazek, Vasilevsky, giving him some competition. Matt Villalta went 4-1 with a shutout at 72 overall. Never know what you're going to see. So the Calder winner is likely to be Liam Foudy, just beating out Lafreniere. He is up to a 90 already. Good God, what is in the water in Columbus? Whew. Well, tough competition for Lafreniere. Barrett Hayton was there too. Alex Newhook's only an 81. Good God. Hey, look at Cooper Marody. Hit 50 points. Marody, 24 points. Or 24 years old. Hit 50 points. And was in the Rookie of the Year race. So we got to look here at the rookie goaltenders as well. Lankinen, Shosturkin, Demko, Hill, Primo. All getting games this year. Ilya Samsonov was down there as well. So we know what the situation is. We are playing the Boston Bruins in round 1. But we certainly have some potential moves to make with this team as it stands, mainly in terms of the special teams. But the comments kind of mentioned it. Go with the guys who have earned it. And I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to go with the players who have earned it. I think Allmark and Nilsson are going to get the opportunity to keep this team together just to see if they can pull off something magical. And time will ultimately tell, as we have... I might take Brandstrom out of there. It's Logan Brown who's missing the power play time, right? Yeah, Mikheyev is there. Brandstrom didn't do that well. I'm going to give Logan Brown the opportunity on the power play and just have Thomas Chabot be our main setup man there. But let's take a look. So, Ryan, Brown, right-handed shots. We're going to have, one fewer right-handed shot than I'd prefer, which is why it's going to be Thomas Chabot. And then for left-handed shots, let's go with, this is tough, actually. I don't think we're going to be able to have Lafreniere there. Or, worst case scenario, it's Brady Tkachuk here, Nemesnikov at center, and then we will go with this particular setup here. I like the looks of that. I mean, Nemesnikov being the top center, but it could be worse. 4-man power play is all right. The PK Anisimov Brown, I mean, you'd think it would have been an all right penalty kill. Apparently not. Instead of Ryan Graves, let's get Ilya Lyubushkin in there. And in terms of the forwards, I mean, it's exactly who I would have preferred to see there, but we'll just make that change. And the 3-on-3 is honestly fine too. So it's tough to say how much better we could have made this team. And again, with the limitations that we had in terms of cap space, there wasn't really all that much that we could do. With that, as the Belleville Sens failed to make the playoffs right towards the end of the season. With that, 3 wins in our last 10 games. I don't like our luck right now. I don't like our mojo. Shorter episode. We'll be back in the next one tomorrow. Round 1 against the Bruins. Did we make the right call? Will this team be able to pull off some magic? Or are we just going to get just dispatched of, swept away, and really just kind of have it be one of those moments where it's like, okay, maybe we should have just gone with the obvious decision, all things considered. On top of anything else you want to mention in the comments, I thank you all for leaving some of these suggestions for the controversy wheel. I'm sure we'll be seeing some of those through the next few seasons. Of course, right now we are without a particular coach, if I'm not mistaken. Or was it a scout? No, it was a coach. We lost our assistant coach at the NHL level, our forward specialist, so we'll see how that affects us as well. Of course, you know, the sooner we're out of the playoffs, the sooner the draft comes up, Eugene gets a random pick. That's going to be a nightmare. A lot of interesting twists and turns coming with this series. I hope that you've enjoyed it. And again, hoping to get back to uploading as frequently as I'd like to do. It's been just a kind of crazy 2 weeks for me. So with that, I thank you very much for watching. You know the deal. Support the video, support the channel in any way you deem necessary. And again, that support's greatly appreciated with just the old ad revenue that we make from this channel right now, thanks to old COVID. We're trucking along, though. We're going to make it. I'm not going anywhere. This is too much fun. Of course, a shout out to my patrons on Patreon as well. I love you all. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. God damn it, we made the playoffs.